Hello and welcome to the OverShadow ShadowCast with me, your host Thomas Anderson, and tech mega wizard Abigail Mott.
I like my promotion. I'm now Mega Wizard. Hello, everybody.
But I'm still host.
Okay. At least you didn't say what I thought you were going to say.
I don't know what that means.
A chair.
I'm the chair. I'm the host. You could be
With the most.
uber wizard and it doesn't matter.
Oh, thanks for that.
You are still a little commensurate. That's not right. That's not the word I'm looking for. Parasitic.
Excuse me?
Commensalist, that's the one.
Did you just call me parasitic?
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I was trying to figure out which word it was I was looking for.
I'm hurt. So very hurt. And he doesn't care.
Don't blame me. Blame the science.
That makes no sense. So, shall we move on from this awkward introduction?
So what have you been playing?
Well, this week I have been playing Star Trek Online. With you! In the multiplayer version. Multiplayer mode? What do you call it?
It's an MMO, so it's always multiplayer, even if you're playing by yourself. We've been playing together.
Yes. I've been playing Star Trek Online with you. Eventually.
Yeah.
Plus he said, download this game. We can play it together. I was like, okay, that'd be quite cool, because I've never done that before.
And it's free.
And it's free.
To play.
Yes. And then you said, oh no, that you have to play by yourself for a little while until you can actually get to a certain marker point, part of the game where you're actually able to interact with other players.
Well, as I like to put it in my head, there's a prologue and a tutorial. So tutorial's like the first part. And then once you take command of the ship, that's the prologue. If you see what I mean. But
yes.
You have to do both before you can then do anything with anybody else.
Yeah, so you helped me start it up. Like we started up together.
Yeah.
We wanted to know if we could actually be at Starfleet Academy
In
together.
The same instance, yeah.
Yeah. And then we found out after about 10 minutes of like walking around this campus in the game. I'm by this big tree. By the big tree. What big tree? There's 3 big trees.
The biggest tree.
The biggest tree. Well, okay, there's a massive emblem on the ground. Go towards that. Are you by such and such character? No, I'm at the emblem. Are you by such and such a character? No, I'm by the emblem. Okay, I found the emblem. We're not on the same map. We're not in the same space.
I sort of already knew that because I couldn't see anybody else other than you either. But it was worth checking.
Yeah, but when we actually, it was fun. Like, it's for me, it was a bit easy. It's easy to a certain extent, but just enough trickiness for me to be able to find it challenging. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, you're only at the beginning.
Yeah. So, we start off as like was it a cadet? Or not even a cadet, it's, what do you call it again? They've not graduated yet.
It's a cadet.
Okay, and they've just graduated and they're going on their first mission, and then you end up as captain. I'm not going to say how you end up as captain, but you end up as captain. I don't think that's spoiling it, because that happens in the first 5 minutes, basically.
Well, it happens in the first 45 minutes, but the point is, of course you're going to be captain, because they're not going to make a game with the idea of you flying all over the
I thought maybe you were just part of the crew.
Yeah, but that wouldn't work as an MMO.
Well, I didn't know that.
So eventually you're in charge.
Yeah. But I found that because I took a bit of a gap between you helping me the first time and me going back into it sort of by myself, and I completely forgot how to shoot a gun in it. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, running around not knowing what to do, having Cleon shoot at me. My screen went grey, which I presume meant I was dead, but no, I was still walking around.
No, grey means you're about to die. It's the sort of last 25% of your health warning. But that doesn't apply in ship combat. In ship combat, it doesn't tell you.
Yeah, so anyway, end up as captain of a ship, and then you said, okay, now we can interact with each other. That was fun. And we discovered I pretty much made myself the exact same height compared to you in real life.
Yeah, we both tried to make
Because I got up to like basically your armpit, and then that's where.
because we were together when we were trying to make the characters and when we started playing, and so we both tried to make characters that looked like us.
Yeah, I may have made mine slightly less big.
Yeah. But that makes...
I want it to be fantasy.
Well, no, it's not that. It's the fact that there's something... They're not a military organisation, but you still can't get in unless you're extremely fit.
Yeah.
So there's no way there would be somebody...
No, you can. You can make yourself pretty fat if you want.
Can you?
Yeah.
I didn't realise. I thought I tried to make myself fat just to see what I would look like.
I managed to do it.
Oh, right, okay.
But then I went back to a little bit skinnier. Mm. But I think my actual height is 5'2", and I tried to make my character 5'2", it would not go below 5'6".
Yeah.
So I was like literally running around. I was like the shortest person everywhere I went.
I think that might be something to do with I think the maximum height is 6'6", and I think that might be something to do with you couldn't have characters that were too dissimilar because then a lot of the modelling wouldn't work and all that sort of jazz. And also, if you were trying to shoot at each other, you'd have a massively unfair advantage.
Yeah.
If you were like...
Well, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was a lot of fun actually doing a mission with you. Because it was like somebody was like, right, let's scout out the area, or like let's think about what we're doing. What did I do?
You just hit full impulse and blasted ahead of me, and all I saw was this sort of like blue and red lines steaming towards the enemy marker on the map. It's because you got yourself right in between two Orion ships, and then you went, help me, because they were blasting you to pieces. I had to come in and use a special taunt power that I had deliberately picked. So that
so when Abigail does something stupid,
yeah, I'd be able to help you.
It was just absolute, because we had to call each other because I don't have a headset yet.
Yeah.
So we were calling each other, and just your voice was like, well, "Where are you? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know."
And then we got on board a Bolian freighter. And it's the same mission. We had to fight off the Klingons that were on board. And that was fun because you ran off ahead and then you got shot at and turned around and came running right back because you realised that the level of the enemies was sort of in between the two of us. But you were level 3 and I was level 13. So you couldn't... You were just... And you came running back. And I just had to blast them to pieces.
Yeah, but what I found really annoying was the fact that when my character wasn't looking at you, I was like, "Where am I going?" And you went, "Here." I was like, "I can't see you." "No, you have to come here." I'm like, "Give me a marker. If I can't see you, I don't know where here is."
Well, one of the reasons for that is there's only so many... Like, you were either in a big square room or you were in a big corridor. So I assumed you'd look down the corridor one way, not see me, and look down the other and either see me or run towards the big square.
Well, when you were saying I'm here, I assumed you were in my eyesight, my range of vision, and you weren't. That's why I was like running around.
Actually, I think that most of the time I said here, I was looking at you, so all you had to do was turn around.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know where you were. You were hiding in the bush at one point, not on a mission, but you were hiding in a bush.
Yeah, but that was deliberately me hiding. I didn't say I'm here. It wasn't quite the same. But no, I'm also used to games giving you far more of a heads up as to where your ally is standing at the time. Most games give you a bit more information as to where you need to go to find your friends, whereas this one sort of happily doesn't.
I couldn't read what was going on the screen because my TV's quite small and that writing is very small.
No, I think it's the mini-map that would tell you, and I don't think it really does.
Yeah, but I can't see that mini-map.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, is I don't really think it does. I think it just has a tiny, almost invisible marker on it. I think either they've not really thought about it too much or they're trying to get you to communicate.
Okay. Did you have fun playing it?
As I said, my abiding memory was we tried to meet up on Starfleet Academy because you can go back there, but I think every instance of Starfleet Academy is just for you, so you can't be on it at the same time as someone else. So we met up on Starbase, Earth Space Dock.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be called Starbase.
I don't know. Let's just continue.
And we were running around there. So I remember I beamed in and you went, here you are. Come on, let's go for a cup of tea. And you turned around and ran off. Just ran. And I was like watching you saying, you haven't got a clue where you're going, do you? Because that's the wrong way. What? They don't sell tea on the Earth Space Dock, but what are you doing running away?
I think, first of all, I said, it wasn't tea. It was a drink. Let's go to the pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was waiting for you to come back from whatever it was you were doing, and you were just standing there for about 10 minutes. I don't know what, I think you had to go away, like...
I did, I had to go away.
Go get some ice cream or something.
Yeah, and very important work for the Federation. And when I came back, you just said, right, come on, let's go for a drink. And you turned round and ran off. And I waited a few seconds and then just said, where are you going? Because you'd gone in the wrong direction. And you just said, I don't know.
I didn't know where I was going because I had been like running around without you. But I forgot there was a shorter way to get to the bar or the nightclub.
Yeah. It's up and to the right basically from the transporter pad, and you went left. So you were basically heading down to buy a ship rather than a pint.
Yeah, but anytime I was like chasing after you, you kept saying, sprint, no, you need to sprint. I'm like, I'm trying.
Oh yeah, but I wasn't asking you to sprint, I was just asking you to click on the left stick.
Yeah, but it wasn't working all the time.
It's really open to playing with other people though, to give it its credit when it's due. Because I think there's only 3 or 4 single player missions that you can't play in co-op. And there's quite a lot of single player missions. It looks like there's 70 to 100, something weird like that. Or it might just be 50. But anyway, that's still quite a lot.
Is there an actual end to the game, or is it just like never ending?
No, they're on to they call it chapter, I think, chapter 15.
Okay.
So since I last played it, which was the end of 2014, they've streamlined a lot of the missions, and I have my fingers crossed, I swear to God, that they've not taken out my favourite mission, because I'll be quite upset.
Mm.
But they definitely have streamlined the missions from the looks of it, and the missions are a bit bigger and a bit more flexible and variable, and there's more talking and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about, there's actually a story to it, but I reckon that they won't be able to stop, because MMOs can't stop making content, because then they eventually shut down because people have done everything.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be a chapter 16.
So there's a really big amount of content then.
Well, I've done the Klingon War. The only thing I would say about it is that you're not able to finish the conflicts, so the story is more about your character's progression through the ranks than it is about the actual meta story.
I think that's probably intentional, because otherwise they would eventually have to end it. So maybe that's why there's no actual
So they
end
can
to
send you back to the Klingon War at some point, essentially. Maybe then to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually they'll have to shut the servers down in like 2056, and that's when they'll finish it. And I'll be sitting there with my grandkids on my knee. Let's destroy the Klingons.
What are Klingons? But I do find it funny the fact that the next morning when I went downstairs, I put the TV on, and what came on but was an episode of Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite meta. Was it meta? Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you've got a lassie captain and all, don't you?
Yes.
And Voyager was the lassie captain.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. First of all, I thought I was watching an episode of Doctor Who, because there were like people that looked like the Sontarans, but it wasn't.
What do Sontarans look like again?
They're like potato people. You hit them in the back of the head with like they have like a air vent or something like that in the back of the head, and if you hit them, that'll knock them out.
Golf ball. Or a tennis ball.
Or a shoe, as Donna did.
So what the hell is...
That's what they looked like. I don't know what they were.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. What would that have been?
I'll let you think about that while you tell me
interesting.
what. So that's what I've been playing, and also I've been playing a bit of Spyro. Not gone very far.
I do have a bit of a funny story to tell about Star Trek, if that's okay.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'll just finish what I was saying before, which is that there's lots of nice storylines in there. And it's called Age of Discovery at the moment because the last chapter they added. And they allow you to do that basically straight off the bat because I think Age of Discovery might be some missions they added in originally for the... Because you can start off as a Discovery captain in year 2256 or 58 or something. And I think that they added in some missions to play in that sort of story arc, and you can play those whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good when it comes to the start, because it used to just be Klingons, Romulans and Starfleet, and only Starfleet had any sort of like story to it. But I think they've changed that now, and you can now also go the original Starfleet, you can go the Discovery era Starfleet, and you can go the Dominion.
Yeah, because I remember when I was setting up, it gave me all the categories. I was like, right, this is what I can play as. This is the storylines I can play as. And I read them all out to you, and you were like, well, it depends on what it's like. I just want to start the game. I just want to just tell me which one to go for. Right. This one. Okay, I'll go with this one. Okay. Species. What species? Well, you need to look. I don't care anymore. Just want to start the game. I find it interesting this game had more character designs, like how you can mess about with it, than the most current Sims I have is Sims 3. So it has more...
Well, we were having so much fun making the characters. I was trying to pick out a face that looked like mine, and all I heard was you giggling your head off. I'm going to give her massive hands and tiny fingers. And all the rest of that.
Tiny feet.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Because it's really, really good. You can faff about with it, right? For each of the different sections.
Yeah, like quite extensively.
And
so
then
that's
you
quite
can
fun.
go back up to the title and press A to reset it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just play about with the face and then reset it and then fiddle about a bit. So if you make a mistake, you just hit reset, go down and try again. And that was really, really good. Whereas most games would leave you completely lost as to what you had when you started.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really impressive. I'm really liking Star Trek. This is my funny story for it. I tried to do a task force, which is when everybody comes together to fight in a mission, basically. And it standardizes everybody. So it standardizes your level. So you've still got the same ship, but it standardizes your personal level. And
Right.
your level affects the hull and shield capacity of your ship and the damage output, right? As does the type of ship and the stuff you've got installed on it.
Yeah.
So it standardises it a bit so you can function to a degree if you're lower level. So everybody can take part, and I really like that. But I tried to do a mission like that because they include them in the storyline to get you to do these.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really smart, and it wouldn't start. And it turns out that what you have to do is when you queue it up and wait, it then gives you a countdown at the top saying, basically, ready to start this mission. And you're supposed to press A to ready up and start it.
Yes.
But I didn't know that. So I was just sitting looking at it.
Is this the one you were doing with me?
No.
Oh.
No, because that was just a mission. This is called a task force operation where you have to go in with at least 5 people. Whereas what we were doing was a proper mission.
Okay.
And so I was sitting there like, and the countdown ran out and it says, you have decided to leave the task force. What? No, I haven't. So I tried it again. I was sitting there for an hour and a half.
Oh, gee.
Doing other stuff, like reading stuff on my phone or whatever. And I realised that you have to press A on it. So I did, and it joined. But what I couldn't understand for the life of me was how I had forgotten to do that when only 4 hours previously I'd tried to do a different one and got in no problem. So either it automatically accepts you for the rest and this one's a wee bit bugged, or I had been instinctively pressing A and then forgotten to do it. And I think the reason for that might have been that the other task forces, the countdown started immediately. So I just hit A straight away. But this one has a bad reputation. So I think I was struggling to get people to play with me. And so the countdown was coming up later, if at all. I think it took me about 5 or 10 minutes before the countdown ever came up. And so I thought I would be bugging the thing out by just hammering A, so I didn't touch it. Because I assumed that the countdown would naturally take me in, and the previous times I'd been pressing A didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then by about an hour later, I'm thinking, okay, I'll press it, and it took me in. But I don't know why. I think it was because it had been bugging out on me and struggling to find people to play with, that I panicked that it would bug out more if I was just sitting there hammering the A button. So I was leaving the controller alone at like the other side of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that was causing me problems. But I felt like such a silly Billy.
Oh, silly Billy, you've been a silly Billy.
But I got in and did it, and it was pretty fun, and there was no problem. They seem to have fixed the bugs in the actual mission. You have to save so many ships before the end of the mission, otherwise you fail. And apparently they haven't been loading up. So for example, loading in ships. They weren't appearing.
Right.
So you couldn't save them. But we had hundreds. We didn't. People were struggling to get like 7 ships, whereas when we did it, we got like 18 and saved 18 of them. So they must. I think they've fixed it.
That's good.
But I just felt such a silly Billy for not doing that.
Have you been playing anything else this week? Have I actually asked you, have you been playing, or was that still a story from what I was doing?
That's still a story. You said that you'd been playing Spyro.
A little bit, yeah. I was stuck on a level for like a week.
And then you got past it.
Yeah, last night.
That's really all we need to know. I'll give you a round of applause.
It's one of the ones where you're like always flying and you have to do like checkpoints. But if you accidentally fall into the water, you have to restart the entire thing. You can't get out of the water on this specific level.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
is it just because of the way that it's designed?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a time checkpoint thing. You have about like 25 seconds at the start, and then each checkpoint you gain either like 3 seconds or 2 seconds. So what have you been playing this week? Tell me. I don't know why I said your name like that.
I don't know why you asked a question like that. It's like the 4th time you've asked it.
What have you been playing? What have you been playing? What have you been playing? What have you been playing?
Right,
this week?
easy. Which one do you want me to answer first? I've been playing the free weekend of The Crew 2. Yeah, I saw it was a free to play weekend, so I thought I'd download it and try it, because I was quite extensive with my opinion of The Crew. Extensive with my review, and aggressive with my opinion. And I was saying that you could probably, if they haven't fixed the driving aspects, you could probably extend it to The Crew 2, to be honest. If the gameplay of the driving is not better, you can probably extend it to that. And I think you can extend it to that.
That's all you have to say on it.
I got through the tutorial sort of race, which I don't think you're allowed to win. I don't know what the point of that is. I picked my first car. I then went to go and do my first race, and I tried it 4 times and then then quit the game before I'd finished the race, because it's awful.
Oh, my.
It recommended a level 80 car. I went in with a spec level of 110. The race then proceeded to be still impossible to win, which I think is ridiculous. I'm like 30% higher than the recommended level, or 35 or 40%.
Yeah.
But actually put 40. On top of that, the rubber banding is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Yes, Mount.
What do you mean rubber banding?
I mean that in certain racing games, if you go too far ahead, they make the cars behind you faster, so they can catch up.
Okay.
But the problem with that is the rubber banding applies until they overtake you. And it's because of how rubbish this game is, it's very difficult for you to then get back in front.
That is ridiculous.
I don't mind if it was we rubber band them so that they were at least within 10 seconds or something. But even then, I would still say no. If I have gone 10 seconds ahead, it's because I deserve to be 10 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
But the reason that they've rubber banded them is because they know that the AI isn't good enough to do it properly. So they've rubber banded them. They basically cheated. They've rubber banded the AI, and I think they've also made the AI basically have access to your car controls.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was trying to ram one, just to see what would happen, he braked. Right, he was about a second ahead of me. He braked to a standstill. He didn't turn, and I was absolutely dead stop.
Right.
And I was driving straight towards where he would turn into to get round the corner at full speed to see if I'd hit him, to see what would happen.
Yeah.
He just stayed stationary for about a second. Completely stationary. Like the game knew I was trying to ram him, so just held him still, and I went flying off into the middle of nowhere, and then he turned.
That doesn't sound right.
Exactly. There's no reason he would have been going that slow. I could see him. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Unless they knew I was trying to hit him.
That just sounds really odd.
So combined with the rubber... Also, this is what really lost it for me. I hit a wall when I was in first place. One of the very few times I was in first place. I hit a wall that wasn't there. It stopped me to a standstill and put me in last place.
This just sounds like a really terrible game.
Yeah, it's one of those. Like there's two pieces of wall like this.
Yes.
So they're sort of like running alongside each other,
like a fence.
Yeah, like those construction fences. You know how there's always a wee gap between them.
Yeah.
And I think basically what's happened is the game's sort of like if you could have a look over here. See how I've got a bit of an angle in my hands between the two pieces of fence.
Yes.
So sort of, I don't know. I'm trying to get you to look so you can help.
I'm looking.
No. I'm explaining why, so you can help me explain it to the people listening because I don't have hands while explaining.
It almost looks like you're trying to give my face a high five, and your hand is straight.
Yeah, so I've got one hand straight, and the other one it's touching against sort of my wrist, and the other one's moving around. So I'm trying to say there's a bit of an angle between the two fences. But when that happens in the crew, and now in the crew too, the collision box doesn't work properly. So if you're scraping along the fence,
yes,
you just magically hit a barrier that's not there when the two pieces of fence become...
So at the joint, there's like an invisible barrier that you're hitting.
Basically, it only crops out by a little bit, but it's enough to stop you dead, and then your race is over because this game is badly balanced. The problem they had last time was that you'd hit stuff like that and stop dead, but if you hit a car face on, sometimes you would just bounce it out of your way. And the reason for that was they knew full well you couldn't control your car properly in that game.
Yeah.
So if you just clipped a car, they bounced it out of your way because you couldn't steer properly because the game's handling was so bad. So that's what they did to solve that problem. And in this one, the handling's still... It feels better from a point of view of like the car feels weightier. It feels more, but you still feel top heavy, like you're about to fall over. And I'm driving a Mazda. They're not known for being top heavy.
I'll take that word for you because I don't know anything about Mazdas, but
they're about 3 centimeters off the ground.
Okay.
At their height, that's the top of the car. And their wheel, I mean, for their height, their wheelbase is very, very large. So they should be extremely stable.
Yeah.
And they should have excellent handling. And they don't in this game.
No.
You can feel it, as I said, it feels a bit weightier. And it feels like there's greater consequences for not doing something correctly.
Yeah.
But those consequences are based entirely on the fact that the opposition are ridiculously overpowered, essentially.
They've got a very, very unfair advantage.
They basically have magic powers.
Yes.
It's really the only way of putting it. And the tracks are designed to punish you at points because they haven't been able to fix the handling issues from the first game. So This is when you're playing Forza. Forza 5 is the best one for me because it's the one I put the most time into. When you're getting closer to losing traction, or when you're about to spin the tyres out because you're accelerating too hard, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's rumble response sort of what they called reactive triggers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The triggers vibrate to tell you that you need to accelerate or slow down, or you need to stop steering so hard, or that sort of thing.
Right.
I don't know if you'll have felt it in the games you've played, but in racing games they're extremely useful, these reactive rumble triggers. But in this game, in Forza, as you start closer and closer to spinning, the rumble increases and it goes into max rumble as you're about to spin. In this game, it goes into max rumble as you're spinning. So the rumble is essentially useless because you've got no idea what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible to get the car to go into a spin because the traction doesn't work properly, but it's nearly impossible to get it to drive in a straight line because you're not getting enough feedback to be able to stop yourself doing this snake's ziggy-zaggy mission down the style line down the road because you can't really control it properly. The acceleration is a joke. You just hammer on the acceleration button and then you've not got a clue what's happening because it's not feeding you any information.
Yeah.
It's so bad, and I've played less than an hour of it. I can't. If you go into this wanting to win every race, as I did in the Crew 1, good luck, because you're probably going to eat through your own arm. In pure frustration, you're going to chew through your own arm. It's incredibly aggravating.
I've literally never heard anybody use that. I was like, yeah, if you want to play this, you're going to eat through your own arm.
I realised that I was going to, like...
So frustrating, I'm just going to eat my own arm.
I was either going to eat my own arm or have an accident in my underwear out of sheer anger if I didn't turn that off. It's so bad. Because they had years between the two releases to fix it, and they went with the whole, we're the only game that allows you to drive a boat, a plane, and a car and a bike. Oh, right, okay, excellent. Have you thought about maybe having actual control of these vehicles in your game? The boats make no sense. It says left click here to go faster. I'm pretty certain this made me slower. It's just...
Not great.
No. Just, it's really... Do you know what I did like, though? See, if you try and drive through water, the game slows you down quite a lot. If you hit something like a pile of tyres, you slow down quite a lot. I did like that. But that sort of stuff just makes the rest annoying. Because you've been able to put that into the game properly.
Yeah, you've been able to put that much effort into making that realistic, but not everything else, and everything else is...
And then they'll turn around and say, well, we didn't want to go for realism, it is still an arcade. Right, well, if it's still an arcade, why have you made it as difficult as a realism game, but you've not given us the tools that a realism game would for us to be able to win?
Yeah.
I think the punishment for me, genuinely, was the fact that I went with a car with better handling over top speed.
Maybe.
Because I picked a Mazda, and the European and Japanese cars usually go for handling over raw power. But this was something that was really annoying to me, right? See, when you're picking your car, it gives you a number for the top speed, right? And the horsepower, but it gives you a bar for the handling.
Right.
So it's easy and expert. But I didn't know if that meant you had to be an expert to drive the car, or if it meant it had expert handling.
Did you find out?
Yeah, I had to look it up. Because and it's basically said, oh, but the handling's on easy, so that's good. So I looked up a review of the cars in the game, and it would say, this one has a low top speed, but it has easy handling, so you should be okay. Right, that sort of stuff. Or, it's easy to drive. And it said, oh, but you might be struggling with this one because it's got expert handling. So expert means it's difficult, easy means it's easy. But the reason I was finding it so confusing to do was that genuinely, there were cars up there I know have amazing handling that were marked as expert. In conclusion, I might give it a little bit of extra time just to see if I'm right. Maybe I was tired when I played it or something, but I'm not impressed. It's not making me think for a second that they've actually improved on the first one. And that seems to be the same conclusion everybody else has come to.
Maybe give it another go.
The thing is, though, I'd have to play it today because, the free play days run out today or tomorrow. And I just don't know if I want to spend my weekend daytime doing that. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's weird, the weekend days end halfway through the week, I think, because we're in Scotland and they can't figure it out. So they start on Friday, but they finish on like Tuesday or something.
What is this free weekend play? How do you get that?
Gold.
Do I have that then? Could I have played it?
You might have. And no, you couldn't have, because I can barely play it. I don't think it functions as a game properly, to be honest. But I don't know, because you've got the free trial period, and I don't know if these extend to the free trial period. But if you pay for gold, then sure, yeah.
Okay, because I think we had the same issue. The fact that I could get like 2 of the free games, but I couldn't get like, what was it, Dragon Quest or Dragon Age or something like that.
Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
You should try getting that again.
I tried it again.
Did it work?
No.
I think that's probably the point then. I think it's because you've got a free trial, which is a shame because that's a game you're going to have to get eventually. It's just too good. I mean, it's terrible, but I did have fun while playing it, and it's going to be too important to a conversation topic. It's terrible, but only really as a Dragon Age game.
Fundamentally, it's a good game, but it's just a bad Dragon Age game.
It's not fundamentally a good game. It's just it's terrible as both a Dragon Age game and, to be fair, a game, but it's sort of like terrible and competent. I don't think bugs were a big problem with it. And if you compare it to some of the more recent BioWare stuff like Andromeda, it's game of the century if you compare it to Andromeda. It's definitely I think the Dragon Age games are games you need to have played, or you should play as a good example of being able to critically evaluate games.
Okay. Right, well, let's see it again.
It's a good learning piece, if you know what I mean.
It was something like 14 quid or something, 15 quid.
That's way too much for that game.
Okay.
But you could probably buy a second-hand disc for like less than a tenner.
Oh, okay.
That's what I originally did for Brian.
I'll be on the lookout for it. If I find it in a charity shop or something like that, I'll look out for it. Shall we move on to the news? Or do you have more to say on the crew?
No, really, just genuinely.
Right, to the news then.
I would just say
to the news.
Crew, it seems to be the same as
the crew. News.
Crew 2 seems to be the same as the Crew 1 when it comes to my advice of don't play it.
Okay, so the news. Do you want to take it away?
Yes. So we've spoken several times over the course of the past 25 weeks.
Although you're going to say 25 years. That's what it feels like whenever I see a topic.
The female storyline in Battlefield 5, right? You know how I got quite upset that they were pushing the female storyline, as in... They
were making up female stories for World War II and putting women in story... I'm going to try that again because I have no idea where I was going to start or finish with that.
I'll just do it for you because I know where... You thought you knew where I was going and then ended up just falling off a cliff. It's to do mostly with the whole putting the woman on the front of the box and her be the one-armed amputee British frontline soldier who's a female. It never happened. And they put her on the box and they said that these people are uneducated. Of course this could have happened. Well, it didn't. And as a British person, for better or worse, I know it didn't. So stop telling me I'm uneducated. Could you imagine how an American would react if I tried that with their military? So this just did not happen. And they tried to push this concept that it did or whatever it could have. It's nonsense.
That it could be a possibility. Is that what they're trying to get at?
But when you actually played the game, it turned out that I think only one of the 5 storylines was for a female. And the big introduction of female characters was for the multiplayer. That's fine. Nobody cares about that. That'd have been brilliant. That's absolutely fine. You've got women in the war where they actually were, so you're actually telling their stories, and you're not insulting other women, those women, or the men who fought by making stuff up. That's absolutely great, because the whole idea of Battlefield 5 is they're telling untold stories of the war. True untold stories of the war. That's something they've been saying recently, is that's the point of it.
Okay.
But, so they basically were stirring up resentment and anger and division, essentially, for no reason. Because the women that they were portraying were never being portrayed in the game the way they were portraying them, the way they were speaking. So I don't know why they were deliberately trying to make everybody angry. But now it turns out that the story that they told about the women in the game was totally made up.
Is this one female character or any of the women in the game?
I'm only talking about the characters. I don't about the character as in the story characters that you can play. I genuinely don't know if there are women floating around in places. I don't know. I'd have to have played the game myself to know that. I'm talking about the stories. And
Okay.
the women, I think there's 5 sets of stories. I think 4 or 5, something like that, and maybe 6, something in that range. And one of them is a woman, and that's made up. The story that they used apparently was for a Norwegian commando team that completed a mission against a dam without firing a shot.
Is that a real story?
Yes. And they removed the Norwegian commando team and put in a pair of ladies. And then had them shoot everything up.
Well, then that's...
And they're trying to say...
I know. I'm like not saying anything, but can you? My face is just one of confusion.
Your eyes are screwed shut, and your head is sort of shaking from side to side, and you're sort of like, but that's just what? That your body is screaming. I can't. What?
And now I'm going to have to edit that because my mic will probably have been blown out.
That's basically your body language is. What's going on? Ow!
My head. It is like that because that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story. The Norwegian. I've never heard that before. The Norwegian team was able to. Was it take out a dam or overtake a dam? Did you say?
I think they sabotaged it.
Sabotaged a dam without firing a single shot. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing.
Anyway, the point is that there are plenty of actual stories like Russian sniper teams that were female that they could put in, and they've decided not to do that. They've decided to... Basically, they're so mistaken, so clear, it appears to be deliberately. Basically, they're trying to force a political agenda, and I don't understand why. But I've come up with a couple of ideas, which is because... it's possibly a result of they know how toxic a company they are, EA, and loot boxes are coming under legal fire from countries looking to ban them.
Yes.
And that's EA's, the majority of their income stream, their revenue stream comes from loot boxes. If that revenue does disappear and they remain toxic, they're in trouble. So maybe what they're trying to do is build a sort of woke following, so that people feel that by buying EA games, they're pushing a political agenda they agree with and they don't really care about the quality of the game.
Quite possibly.
That's all I can think of, because I don't understand. Unless EA have somehow allowed somebody to just go mental. Unless this is a particular person. Because, I mean, this has happened before. Do you remember what happened in Andromeda? Where EA, who owned BioWare made Mass Effect Andromeda, and the guy who was quite high up in that, I think he was in charge of it, a whole load of racist anti-white tweets were found. About how if he defriends you on Twitter or whatever it is, it's because he's clearing out all his contacts.
Yes, I vaguely remember the story, yes.
And if you get cut out and you're white, blame the superiority of your race. Sort of like he's just cutting white people out because there's too many white people. And I mean, that's racist. If you spin it to black, everybody's going mental, so it's racist. And when that game launched, you couldn't pick a character that was pale. There was no pale skin option for a character.
All right.
And EA tried to claim that was a bug and that they fixed it later. But I don't buy that. I genuinely believe that particular individual made sure there was no option to go a white character. And look at me. Right, you can see it. You can testify. I am pale white.
Yes.
If I want to make my character, I have been told I'm not allowed to. When that game launched, you couldn't do it.
That's odd.
So it's not odd. It's racist, but so they've had this happen before, where people have pushed their own agendas in their games and it's not been caught.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that. It could be that this particular person's just trying to push such a female agenda that it's not being picked up. But I don't know why they're allowing that person to then double down on it and then double down on it again. Thoughts?
My thoughts are the same that they have been for the last forever, since we've been talking about Battlefield 5 and the women's role in the war effort. There is so much you can do with women in World War II that actually did happen. There's no need to, in my opinion, there's no need to exaggerate anything or to create things that never actually happened. And if you're trying to go for a realistic game and tell real stories, I don't understand, like you were saying about the Norwegian team with the dam. It just takes away from what actually happened, which sounds like an amazing story, into something which sounds very phoned in.
Well, it's not even just that. They've gone for the sort of like interesting, sassy option where you can kill everybody because it's a video game, right?
Well, if you're going to do that...
But that's fine, as long as
it
it's
is
not a set of real life stories.
That's what I mean. That's what I was about to say. Like, you can have female characters in war effort. Go for it. I'm all for that. I think that's amazing. However, don't put it in a realist. Try and set it in a real war that actually did happen, and create things that never actually happened.
That's not the problem. The problem is that they said specifically it was real stories.
That's what I just said.
No, you said real war.
Well, real war, real stories. Don't fabricate something in a game which is supposed to be portraying real stories that happened in a real war that, affected the world in such a way. Create a new world. Create a new world. You can set it in the time, but have a different war. An alternate reality, if you will. But if it's what actually happened, like, I've not seen Man in the High Castle, but that's supposed to be what happened if Hitler won. So, you could have something like that.
It's Wolfenstein, I think, has female characters in it who are running around shooting Nazis.
Is that set in? Is that supposed to be like another alternate reality where the Nazis won?
It is, yeah.
So yeah, you can do that, or you can set it in the 1940s and just have an alternate reality. Just don't have real stories in it.
That's basically it. Do whatever you want, but don't say this is real stories from the war and then make them up.
You can take inspiration from real stories.
Yes, but don't say this is real stories and then make them up.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
So this is a small, quick story about the PewDiePie controversy.
Well, it's not a small story, but we'll talk about it for a short period of time.
Talk about it for a short time, is it?
So basically what was happening was PewDiePie's subscriber rate, even though it is still going up, it's going up at a slower rate than another channel is. And this other channel, I think it's like an Indian production company channel, is closing in on him quite rapidly and may become the most subscribed channel on YouTube. And all of PewDiePie's friends and his community were sort of like rallying around him, saying, subscribe to PewDiePie, subscribe to PewDiePie. Like, it was great. And there was one guy who even did a billboard, which I thought was hilarious. But PewDiePie, turned around and thanked everybody, but was then promoting smaller channels. You know, it's like saying, guys, you know, check out these people.
Yeah, so was it 10 he did? Was it a video of 10
I think it
or
was.
something like that?
I think it was.
And so this comes sort of fresh off the back of the controversy where a particular woman who was extremely unhappy that the top 10 earners from YouTube were all male. And he did a response video where he basically said that she was being a crybaby and an idiot because the AdSense algorithm does not calculate your income based on your gender. It bases it entirely on the content and how often people watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically said that she was being a crybaby and an idiot. And to be honest, I kind of can't disagree, because a lot of her tone was that this is sexist. Well, it can't be sexist. It's just that people don't like your stuff as much as they like other people's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the creator's fault if they're the most
Exactly
popular YouTubers out there or the highest earners out there.
You basically, this is the most meritocracy type of income that you get because people have to actually want to see it.
Yes. It's not like a TV show where they're just going to plug them every year.
No, sort of meritocratic. But unfortunately, it turns out one of the videos or our creators that he recommended had a couple of videos that suggested a level of anti-Semitism.
I think it was more than a couple.
Well, I'm trying to suggest it wasn't present in all of them.
It wasn't. It wasn't present on all of them.
Constant right-wing videos.
No.
It wasn't. Every video wasn't Hitler giving a speech.
No.
And he watched a couple of videos about some anime that didn't have anything in it at all. And he just said, "Oh, I like these videos very much. Can't wait to see the next video." And he recommended that channel. Now, unfortunately, it turns out, as I said, a degree of these videos are anti-Semitic, but not all of them are. And
he was getting a bit of backlash for it.
He was getting backlash from it. And so this is the bit that hits me, is that it wasn't the people that were angry with him. It was the gaming journalism side of it that comes down like a ton of bricks on anybody that it just decides is not being woke enough. And
it does seem that the media is constantly attacking PewDiePie for this, like, taking things that necessarily don't need to be blown out of proportion and are blowing it out of proportion. And then whenever that happens, like with anybody that's ever had bad press, this always happens. It doesn't matter if you're in the gaming community or TV, movie, whatever. If you're in the public eye, if something bad happens, then something bad happens. They report on it. But if something happens again, they drag up all the stuff that they've dragged up before.
Yeah, and for me, the issue here was that journalism should function like science. They should take in all the data and objectively analyse it and then tell the story, right? And leave people with all the evidence to make up their own judgments, or their own mind to make their own judgments. But they don't. They either have no information at all, no data, so they just basically write a hit piece to get people who already agree with them to read it, or they put in only the data that supports their position. That's not journalism. To me, that is not journalism, that is propaganda. And in this particular instance, there was a complete lack of evidence in a lot of the stuff that I read, but apparently, PewDiePie's made mistakes before and apologised for them. Mm-hmm. Really, that's the way that it should happen. But apparently some of the anti-Semitic stuff that was mentioned was Charlottesville related.
Right.
I think that was where the synagogue was shot up in America.
And also where someone was actually killed, but they were run over by a car. I think they were actually killed.
That was a feminism protest, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but I think it was still in Charlottesville, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we're talking about anti-Semitism, so it's about the...
But well, he was also a white supremacist and things like that, the guy that did it.
Right. But I think that the comments were related to the shooting of the synagogue. Okay. And I think that was Charlottesville as well, right? Okay. Was that Charlottesville as well?
I like... This is going to sound quite... I don't know if this is going to sound heartless or what, but so much stuff happens in America. I lose track of it. I'll look it up.
So I think that is the case. Now, PewDiePie Where's he from?
He is Swedish.
Yeah. Why would he innately understand the references?
So I've just looked it up. It was actually Pittsburgh where the synagogue was attacked. Charlottesville was actually a black church where a young man went on a mass shooting attack.
Rampage or spree.
I hate that word spree.
Mm.
Because I think it's such a lesser word for it because it was such a horrific thing.
I think use of it strategically can be quite poignant if you're trying to make an anti-gun point, because the idea that this is so common and so easy to do is worth making. But right, so I've not particularly seen the comments myself. I apologise for getting the mass shootings confused, but as you said yourself, it's kind of difficult to remember all of them.
It may sound like a really heartless thing, but in all honesty, like, especially living over here, so few happen here.
None. We haven't had one since 1996.
We've had a gun attack since 1996, but we've not had not a mass shooting. So for us, it's a horrific thing no matter where you are. But we seem to be hearing about things like this coming out of America almost, if not weekly, monthly.
Daily.
It is quite difficult to sort of keep on track of when everything happened and where it happened.
Yes.
For personally for me, because it just seems to be happening so much.
I couldn't tell you, but if you said the name and maybe the number of people who died, I might be able to, but I couldn't remember just from Charlottesville. I think that's because they had, was it Jackson where they got shot up?
I don't know. I'm very sorry, but I don't know.
Anyway, so I haven't seen the comments that the person made in the video, but I'd guess then that the comments were something along the lines of going Charlottesville on a synagogue. It would have been something like that. They'd have brought up Charlottesville and then related it to Judaism in some way. Mm-hmm. That's probably, I guess that's what the comments would have been. And if you don't see, I mean, here we go, I'm in Europe, English speaking natively, and even I couldn't remember exactly what the Charlottesville shooting was.
Yeah.
So why do we expect PewDiePie to know exactly what it is?
Well, he lives in Brighton, I think it is.
Yeah, and in Europe. And unless, of course, he's in a Brighton in America.
No, he's in a Brighton in England.
Yeah, but even then, is that...
I think.
How is he going to get that reference? That is clearly an American reference. And he has to have seen the video to even have the reference put in front of him. If he's not seen that exact video, how could he possibly know that that was mentioned, and how could he possibly get the reference anyway?
Yeah.
It's this expectation of godhood levels of understanding that I don't understand.
I know, it's a bit like trying to expect somebody probably in America to understand all of Scottish history and all this kind of stuff. Like big things that happen that we know about.
If you say Klan to an American, you mean KKK. If you say it here, you mean the Klan culture and structure.
In terms of names, like...
Yeah, what clan are you from?
Yeah.
You don't mean KKK.
No.
So, it's just, my point is, I think that these game journalism attacks in the written media are done to basically for clickbait. They're hit pieces because they either don't like PewDiePie or they're just attacking people for the reads. Also,
PewDiePie is a very big name, and people maybe not even in the gaming community or even the YouTube community will probably have heard of his name, and therefore, like you say, clickbait.
Yeah. Next story. Legacy Killer HD, someone that I go to for news pieces, had a copyright claim made against him by Nerdist for content that they didn't own. It was on a Dragon Age 4 video about how it's going to become quite a political game, or it's going to remain political. And I just thought that this was stupid. On YouTube, Nerdist were able to make a copyright claim against him because of the Dragon Age 4 content from the trailer. They've not made a similar video. They don't own the trailer. It's protected by what's it called again? Was it reasonable use or something like that?
It's no, it's not called reasonable. It's called, what's it called?
And he had his video blocked.
That's gonna drive me crazy because God. In college we had to do an entire course on this, and I cannot for the life remember what it's called.
They'll come back to you. But he had his video blocked. Nobody could watch it for about a day.
Really?
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's called reasonable doubt, and that's not right. That's law. That's a case. that's murder trials. Yeah.
But yeah, he had his video blocked, and stuff like that's happened to him.
Fair
before.
use.
Fair use rules. That's the one. Yes.
It's fair use.
And
it's like if there's like a picture in the background when you're doing a news item or something like that. If it's an advertisement, well, I think that's called fair use.
well, I would just sum up
Like
quickly
on a
by
billboard.
saying that YouTube need to get their act together because that's ridiculous. Copyright claims can't be made. I mean, basically his video has been blocked because somebody claimed he'd stolen it with no evidence that he had.
Right.
Yeah, I recommend you go and watch the video. The video is about politics in Dragon Age 4, about how it's going to become political. And the main writer, the narrative director, I think, of Dragon Age 4 has said that the game will remain political because the game was always about hope and our love for one another. And a guy whose name was something Glasgow on Twitter responded to him by saying, "This is a game in which you can kill a child to have sex with a demon. This game is not about hope and love. It's about despair."
Oh, should we put the link to this video in the description box?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We'll put the link in. You might have to remind me to do that, but we'll put
I
the
will.
link in. So one story, you said I was limited to one about Bethesda, so here it is. Fallout 76 data mining continues, and Vault-Tec lunchboxes are coming to the 76 Atom Shop. You know, the one where you spend real money.
Yes.
Or some atoms.
Yes, I think we all know.
They were in Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter, giving random items. In 4, you just found them in the world, and they were in the game. In Shelter, you have purchased them, I think.
Yeah.
You purchased packs of them, but Shelter was a free-to-play game. In PAX Australia, Pete Hines said that the Atom Shop was not pay to win, and it's not loot crates. However, some of the coding that's been data mined includes damage, carry capacity, and XP modifiers that can be earned inside of a lunchbox. Apparently, there's some suggestion from the data mining that perk cards were originally in the coding for the Atom Shop before they were removed. So the question is, will they go back in? Will the perk cards go back in the Atom Shop or into the lunchboxes? Also, the lunchbox, when you open it, is visible and showy to all the other players nearby, and that's clearly an attempt to try and get them to buy lunchboxes as well. Sort of like a psychological attack.
Mm-hmm.
You raised your hand. Do you have a question?
What is a lunchbox? And not, I don't mean like an actual thing that has lunch in it that you...
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's a lunchbox. It's just shaped like a sort of 50s style lunchbox.
Oh, like like the metal ones with the handle.
Well, it's a metal rectangle with a handle, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Well, you also get the metal sort of like bread shaped ones that are called pails.
Is that what the official name is for that type of box? It's a pail.
I think so.
Was whenever
It's a lunch
anybody
pail.
ever sends to me lunch pail, I'm just reminded of that scene from Return to Oz.
Right, we'll skip past that.
You never seen that movie?
No.
Return.
So
You'd enjoy it.
let's just focus now. So just get back to work, right? It's nearly lunchtime. So the lunchbox is just a lunchbox. In 4, you opened it and it gave you a random item.
Right.
And in Shelter, you opened it, it gave you a random item. Now, do you see what I'm getting at here?
It sounds very much like a loot box.
Yeah, you pay money for random items.
Yes.
So Bethesda, who said there will be no loot boxes,
It sounds like it. I'm not saying it is.
looks like they're going to try and put loot boxes back in. Or in, sorry. They might even put perk cards in, which definitely do affect the story. But you can sort of see why they would have to, because if they've got so few players, how else are you going to get hold of your perk cards without buying them? But that's not good enough.
No. That's very annoying.
Yeah, just as loot boxes are becoming toxic, they're thinking of adding them. That is genuinely the only way they could possibly make this worse than they already have.
Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Is add in loot boxes and then add in the psychological predatory nature of having them showy to everybody else around you so that they go, oh, I want one too.
Yeah.
I mean, that is genuinely the only thing they could do to make it worse.
If they are doing that, I would highly recommend that you stop that immediately. Don't launch it. Don't do it.
Looks like they're trying to rake as much money in as they can.
That's sad. Should we move on now?
Okay, so that's all the news for today, for this week. And what we're going to try, because it's the last time that the pair of us are recording together before probably
For
New
2K19.
Year. Yes. We're going to do our first attempt at sort of a game of the year type thing. Now, a lot of people do sort of challenges, or they'll get together and play Christmas themed games, but we can't really do that because we don't have the technology. We don't have the equipment.
No.
And other people have like game of the year discussions where they debate different categories of games and news in games and all sorts of stuff like that. But again, that's quite limited for us. So this is sort of our practice run, a little bit more diluted, not quite as many categories as we would like, and we won't talk about it for as long. But hopefully it's a good practice, a good setup, and next year we can do a full big proper one.
Yes.
So we've got
fingers crossed.
Yeah, so we've got some categories here, and we're going to start. I think we can just run these as they're written. So the first category is the most feel-good news story.
My favourite one from the year for like feel good where you just like feel all warm inside was the was it I can't remember what it is now. Was it Uncle Pokemon?
Might be Grandpappy Pokemon, Uncle Pokemon, yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was my favourite one. Where basically this guy was cycling around his neighbourhood with, what was it, about like 10 mobile phones attached to his bicycle.
Yeah, and he was playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I think his grandson introduced it to him.
Yeah. So, well, for me, I've got, for my most feel-good news story, probably it would have to be the fact that countries are coming down like a ton of bricks on loot boxes.
Alright.
Because I hate EA. Just going to leave that there. That sums it up.
What do you want to say your most...
Because most of their revenue comes from loot boxes, and they don't make proper games as far as I'm concerned because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're clearly capable of making good games. So hopefully if they realise that the only way for them to make money from games is to sell good games, they'll just make good games.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy that that sort of cheating revenue stream is going to be shut down soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's a weird feel-good news story.
I wouldn't call that a feel-good news story.
Well, I don't know why, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure why it's written as feel-good news
You
story.
told me to write it down as feel-good news story.
I would never ever say write feel-good. I might say feel-good, but I would never say write feel-good. But if it's a good news story, I'm quite happy about that because it is a good piece of news that that's happening.
Would you like to say your most ridiculous news story first, while I try and remember what mine was?
Yeah, it's kind of easy. The most ridiculous news story for me has been Bethesda's collapse of Fallout 76.
All right. Why is that the most?
Because they've just... I think there's a difference here between... That's where we've got to get the categories correct. There's a difference here between just the worst game and the most ridiculous news story. And I think this is ridiculous because of how they sold a canvas bag. And a company of that size tried to get away with what was essentially false advertising and fraud.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so ridiculous. Why have they tried to do that? Why have they thought that that was a good idea? Where's the need?
That was I've now remember that was also my most ridiculous news story, so we shall share that one.
Well, I'm trying to think back, because it has been half a year.
I'm trying to think of what other ridiculous news stories we've done.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out, and I think that... I mean, it's ridiculous that BioWare are making Anthem and they've taken all the romance options out. That's ludicrously stupid and disappointing, but I'm not entirely sure how to phrase that. It's just sort of... It's more of a stupid gaming decision than it is just a ridiculous story.
Should we go into most disappointing
Obviously,
companies?
just to clarify this, we're not accounting any stories which were like massively serious. Like the
No, we're just doing like
mass
those fun stories,
or
real
anything
fun
like
stories.
that. Well, not fun stories. Like, serious stories are fine, but none of these discussions include any. We're not taking into account a story in which someone died, right? Because that's obviously the winner. So that goes to one side. That's it. That's it.
What's happened?
That's the most
What's
ridiculous news story. I've just remembered it. The most ridiculous news story for me was when CD Projekt Red were accused of being transphobic. Do you remember when they said, "Did you just assume my gender?"
Yes.
And everybody, all the media was going, "Oh, this is ridiculous," but all the people were saying, "Well, it's just a guy trying a really bad joke. He's from Poland, doesn't understand what that sentence means. What the hell are you going on about?" That's my most ridiculous news story. Because they're basically trying to be so woke towards trans people that they're inadvertently...
What does woke mean? I
have no idea. But essentially they're trying to be so pro-trans, right? That they've accidentally been racist towards this Polish guy by assuming that he understands everything.
Yeah.
It's just that I just remembered it because I was about to say to you, right, so the ridiculous news story, I think that's in first place and Bethesda's in second.
Okay. Most disappointing companies. I know what yours is.
No, because I've got some options here.
For companies?
Yes.
What are your options? And I know two of them are going to be Bethesda and EA.
And Activision and Lucasfilm, I think it was. Or LucasArts. Now, this is the reason that the cancellation of the KOTOR mod is not in the most ridiculous news story, even though it is ridiculous, because I think it's far more disappointing than it is ridiculous. Because I'm kind of hoping that the people who people who control the license are secretly trying to do something with KOTOR.
Right.
But it is still disappointing that they blocked the mod.
Yes.
But I think we should have a top 3 for this. And that's 4 companies. Do you have any to add?
No, those are the only companies we ever seem to talk about, is Bethesda and EA.
No, we're talking about that we have spoken about other companies like CD Projekt Red that are doing a good job. Obsidian Entertainment look like they're about to do a good job with their upcoming game, The Outer Worlds.
I think the most disappointing company has been EA. The most disappointing game has been 76. But the most disappointing company has been EA, for they have done more. That's because, like you say, Bethesda have made like loads of really great games that you love.
Yeah.
What else have they actually done this year that's been bad apart from 76?
I don't think they've done anything, so I don't know if they've had anything out.
What about EA though? As a company.
But the point is, I don't know if Bethesda have actually released much else this year.
Right. As a company, who has disappointed you more this year, EA or Bethesda? Because EA seems to have been doing a lot more to disappoint its fans.
EA, because see, this is worst companies basically, right? So I would have to say EA because Bethesda did some really stupid stuff to try and get money, right? EA have done that too. But EA, when it comes to Battlefield and Battlefront, basically seem to have tried to start a war with their own customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hashtag everyone's battlefield. That's just trying to pick a fight.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to say EA takes first place for me.
Yep, same. Okay, best
Wait,
game.
no, because we've got top 3. So who's in second? Who's in second?
Bethesda.
Who's in third?
Activision.
Why?
Because I can't remember.
Yeah. So I put Activision in because I thought that they're removing single player from Black Ops
Yes.
after having put it in and then saying, oh, well, we never made one because it was for story reasons, but we know for a fact they did make one. Sorry, not story reasons, because they wanted to make a game without a campaign. And it turns out, no, they removed the campaign to try and make it more marketable as a battle royale.
Okay.
I don't think they did very well out of it, by the way. I think they got very heartily punished for it in the sales charts. But I actually personally think that it is Lucasfilm or Arts, whichever one it was, that blocked the KOTOR mod. Because that mod was like 2 or 3 years in the making.
Right.
And then from Poem Studios. And I personally think that's worse. The other thing's just stupid. Why are you lying about removing single player?
Yeah.
But I think that was worse because I just don't see the need to ban it at all. And it was really disappointing that happened. You see, now that I've said that, I genuinely still don't know if it is Lucasfilm because I am sort of in the back of my mind hoping against hope that they're doing something with KOTOR and that's why they did it, in which case it's not necessarily as disappointing, in which case it would be Activision.
I don't think Lucasfilms is the most disappointing company because they were trying to protect their assets.
But I don't think they needed to do
that.
But
that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but
which they have all the right to do.
Yeah, but I'm talking about disappointing, not badly run. I think it was disappointing that they did that to the fan base. But if they're doing something with KOTOR, that explains why they did it. You see, I'm kind of struggling. Do you know what? We'll go with Activision.
For most disappointing company.
Because I'm hopeful that something's happening with KOTOR, and I am hopeful that Disney, who own Lucasfilm and games and arts now, will turn
Disney
around
own everything.
And they will remove the rights for EA to make all the Star Wars games. Just to round up then for me, I think that it's EA at the start for first place, then it's Bethesda, and then I'd say Activision because I'm going to put faith in Disney that they'll do something about what EA is doing, and I'm going to put also I think that Activision are quite predatory when it comes to their loot boxes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yep, I agree.
So far we've agreed with each other, and we've also found out that Abigail's not best suited to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
So, jeez, oh. So the
sorry for starting.
that was a snort.
This is when we're going to disagree.
So that was a snort. Yes.
That was a snort. That was me going, I can't do it again.
Grab your nose again, see if that works. Oh, there you go.
Can't stop now.
Grab your nose. Grab your nose. You know, one thing we did forget to discuss actually in the most disappointing company was Telltale Games.
I think that's because our brains decided to forget that.
Yeah, so...
We don't want to talk about it again.
Where would you put that?
I don't know, because it's not so much a disappointing company because they brought out amazing... They did. I mean, Wolf Among Us was really good. The Walking Dead was really good. But it wasn't the company as such. It was a few individuals who decided that they weren't going to tell everybody, hey, guess what? We're bankrupt.
No, because it's the company structure that was wrong. But I don't know if that's technically disappointing or not.
I think it's disappointing for the people working there.
Yeah, but that's not really what
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily put it in with that.
It's also the fact that it's not really much
story.
of a company anymore, is it?
Well, no, because it doesn't really exist anymore. Did you tell me that they're going to be finishing The Walking
They're
Dead?
finishing it. They got money to finish it. It's just very strange. They built themselves all wrong and fell apart because of it. But is that disappointing or just bad?
It's sad.
Yeah.
I call it sad, not disappointing or bad. I would just call it sad.
It's a disappointing news story, but we don't have that category. Yeah, and it's a...
We could put that in the most ridiculous news story.
It's not ridiculous. They were run badly, so ran out of money. That's not really ridiculous. So it's ridiculous that we're run that badly, but lots of companies get run badly and go down. Is it a disappointing company? Do you know what? Not for me, because I was never a great fan of their games anyway. I'd only ever played a couple of them. So I wasn't disappointed by that. I could say I was disappointed by them collapsing, but I don't think they've done anything disappointing on the same scale, because while they have collapsed, they've not done anything sort of predatory towards the customers.
No.
Do you know what? I'm going to say honourable mention. Or a dishonourable mention.
What's that?
Games.
That's from... Dishonourable mention is from something. Oh, that's from like the Watch Mojo videos. They say dishonourable mentions. Like when they were doing a top 10.
I just thought it was a phrase. I didn't really know. Well, anyway, if that's the case, I doubt they've copyrighted it, in which case I'm giving them a dishonourable mention. Telltale Games are not in the top 3 because I think that they fit into a different category that we don't have, but it's worth bringing it up, so I put them in as a dishonourable mention.
Yeah.
Now, next category is best companies. You suggested Microsoft.
Yeah.
I kind of see where you're coming from in that point of view, because they have...
They've been buying up companies which have been doing very well, very good games, wasn't it?
Well, they're making good games. They're buying a lot of companies that are going to make them good games.
Mm-hmm.
Like The Outer Worlds is the big one that we've seen recently.
Yes.
I also like CD Projekt Red.
What do they make again?
They're making Cyberpunk 2077 and they made The Witcher.
Yes.
There's also, even other companies that are owned, so you could talk about things like Obsidian, In Exile, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But who would you put as number 1?
Microsoft.
I'd have put CD Projekt Red. Customer service.
I think it's just because I'm new to the Xbox world. I quite like my Xbox now.
Okay.
I like the way it's set out, and I like the games on it.
Okay. So how about we compromise? I put mine first, because I know more about it. We'll put yours in second place. So who's in third?
That's not a compromise. That's you deciding something.
I think it's a compromise based on my experience and knowledge. But third
You'd make a
place.
good politician, you know that.
I know I do. Third place. What's your thoughts for third place?
I don't know.
I'm going to actually overrule, I think.
I don't know. I'm going to overrule.
I'm going to put Sony in top place.
Why?
Because they've had some really... Do you know what? Stop. We shouldn't include the companies that make the consoles because it's going to turn into a rating system for them, so we should exclude Microsoft. I'm going to overrule and I'm going to exclude Microsoft because I just realised that I want to add Sony because of the exclusive to PlayStation, but then I'd have to add the Switch, Nintendo. It's going to be just basically a ranking of the consoles, so they're gone. I'm interjecting. The console companies are a different category.
Right.
So we've got CD Projekt Red at the top because I think they do really great customer service.
I don't know any other companies. Because we've all just had bad stories all year.
I think the problem is,
Well, for the last 6 months anyway.
I can't remember if it was 343 or if it was Bungie who are doing the Master Chief Collection. They recently released those huge patches for it. And I want to give them some accolades, but I genuinely don't know who made the patches. So how about we just give Best Company to CD Projekt Red, because I love them. And
Okay, right. Best game you've played this year.
Right, now this is objectively the best game. Not the one you had the most fun with, the objectively best game.
I'm going to put down the one I had most fun with.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not, because there's a category coming up called favourite game. That's where you put the one you had the most fun with. So this is the best game objectively.
Well, I don't know what's objectively the best game that I've played then, because...
Well, what games have you played?
GTA 3,
Mhm.
Spyro,
Mhm.
Star Trek Online,
Mhm.
Battlefield.
I don't really think you played that, to be honest. I wouldn't
So I
count
just
that.
dreamed I played it then, okay.
No, half an hour is not enough for you to decide whether or not it's the objectively best game.
I don't know what the objectively the best game is then, because I don't really I don't understand. Objectively, I don't understand what the best game is.
So you've played GTA 3, you've played Spyro, and you've played Star Trek Online. Have you played anything else with any, put in at least a couple of hours, I would say, would be a sort of qualifying metric.
Secret game, which you're not going to find out about yet until I finish it.
Okay, so in that case, that's ruled out. So you've played 3 games.
Plus it's taking me that long to finish GTA.
So which one of those is objectively the best game? So you're looking at gameplay, you're looking at story.
Well, probably it'll have to be GTA 3.
Why would you say that?
The voice acting's very good.
Mm-hmm.
There are parts where it's genuinely funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy... For me, it wasn't an easy game, so it was challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And also I got, 6 months worth of play out of it?
That's a good point, yeah. And it's a good game to learn on, because you seem to be doing quite well on Star Trek Online. But that's what I'm going to call...
Find it easier, that one.
That's what I'm going to call driving in space.
So I suppose objectively that would be the best game.
Right, fair enough.
And I say that through gritted teeth.
Yes, but that's good. That's you being objective. So what would I say is objectively the best game? The Crew 2. But I think we should clarify just right now, actually, now that you've said that, this is the best game of 2018 that we've played, because we've not been running long enough to have played all the games in 2018 or to have played a decent amount of them. So, I'm still working through a back catalogue, you're just starting. So this does not necessarily mean that it was made this year. This is the best game that we played.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying. Because technically it would have to be Spyro, because it's the only 2018 game either of us have played.
I said, what's the best game you've played this year? Why do you need to clarify that?
Because I just think we should when we say...
What's the best game you've played this year? Not, what's the best game you've played that's come out this year?
Because most people, when they say best game of the year, mean in the year it was released.
What's the best game you've played this year?
Yeah, no, I'm just reiterating it. For me, it's a toss-up between Fallout 4 and Halo 5. But objectively, I would have to say Halo 5.
Why?
Because my issues with Fallout 4 objectively, I've not even played the Halo 5 storyline, but I've not played the Fallout 4 storyline yet either. But objectively, my issue with Fallout 4 is it's extremely repetitive in points. And even the exploration gets dull to do sometimes. I've had to take breaks from it and start up new things that you can do.
Yeah.
Whereas with Halo 5 multiplayer, they're constantly changing things. The game types you can use, the maps, you can play, like there's social, there's arena, and there's Warzone, I think, where you can do firefights and stuff. And there's so many different things you can do just in multiplayer, and they're constantly changing them that I've never really been bored while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing that game on multiplayer. Like, I can play a match of that every night and it's not boring at all.
That sounds good.
So I'm going to say objectively Halo 5 because it's constantly revamping itself to keep you interested.
Yeah.
And you're always finding enough people to play, even though it was released like 3 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really, really impressed with how they've kept it feeling fresh.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that. That's just the multiplayer. I haven't played the single player.
Okay. So, objectively, what is the worst game you have played this year? Not necessarily come out this year, but you've played this year. What have you played this year? Not necessarily come out this year. I just need to reiterate that point so Tommy doesn't have to later. What is objectively the worst game you have played this year, but not necessarily come out this year? Is that clear enough for you? So to reiterate, yet again, because Tommy's asked me to, yet again, what is the worst game you have played this year?
But not necessarily released
come out
this year. You start, because you've only played 3, so it's kind of easier for you.
I really want to say GTA 3.
This is objective, right? You
I know, but I want to say it.
You can have the game you hated, but you can't have the objective worst as the objective best.
Oh, I don't know. Because I've only played 3.
Could you put in Battlefield 1 because you just had no idea what you were doing?
Oh yeah, okay. Objectively, the tutorial bit of Battlefield is
You had
the
no
worst
idea
game
what you were
I've
doing.
played. It was like, there you go, deep end.
Yeah.
I can't swim.
What?
I can't swim.
Does he have like a pipe in his mouth at the same time? I can't swim, by
It's
the
supposed
way.
to be like me drowning. I can't swim.
No, that would be, I can't.
So,
For me, objectively, it's Dirt 3.
why?
Because that game started off with so much potential and then goes mental about a third of the way in.
Is this the one that was drifting? You were drifting in it.
Yes, and the drift just wasn't working properly. There's not enough feedback. I want to say the crew, but objectively, the crew does have the fact you can drive across a very large map. Whereas Dirt just goes mental about a third of the way in for no reason whatsoever and makes a game that just doesn't work properly. Do you know what? No, I'm going to say the crew because maybe it's just not my style of game, Dirt 3. Maybe I've misunderstood it somehow. I don't think I have. I think it is terrible, but it's possible I've just misunderstood it. But the crew is a multiplayer game where the multiplayer aspect doesn't work properly.
Okay.
So that's losers. That's
Right.
the worst game.
Okay, favourite game. What is... And I will say this again. Do I need to say it again?
No, you don't have to say it yet again.
What is your favourite game you've played this year? But not necessarily come out this year.
But you start. And this is non-objective. This is subjective.
In my heart, I want to say Spyro, but I had more fun with you playing Star Trek Online than I have had with Spyro. So I will
Really?
say that, yeah.
All right.
I never laughed while playing Spyro. I laughed continuously playing Star Trek
that's the
Online
point.
with you. But then again, that was when I was with you, not when I was by myself. That was tedious. But I'll still say it's probably my favourite game to play.
Right.
Plus it's actually a bit more interesting. It's got a story. And I'm doing stuff.
I'd have to say...
And you're going to break my heart if you don't say that.
No, I'm going to have to say GTA 5 because I get to play with Brian online.
Okay. He is your brother.
Well, yeah. It's also just the fact that I played a lot more of that with him
Yeah.
than just a few hours with you.
Yeah, cool.
So I think that's probably...
Is it just because you're able to play with Brian, or is it because that there's other elements in GTA Online than...
It's also the fact that I'm not fully exposed to Star Trek Online, so I can't really...
No, I'm not saying compare it. I'm just saying, is that the reason?
The ability to
Because
play
there's
with
other
Brian-
games other than online games.
Well, it's just... Halo 5 is all about multiplayer for me. I've not played the story. And Fallout 4 is just not technically good in some aspects. And that's always wound me up. So
Okay.
objectively, I think of it less subjective. I really enjoy parts of it, but other parts wind me up.
Okay.
Whereas I can just remember Well, objectively, GTA 5's not as good as Halo 5 for multiplayer, and I had a lot of fun with my friends on Halo multiplayer. No, what? No, I'm going to have to say Halo 5 again.
Okay. Cool.
Unless you say I'm not allowed to say the same
No,
game.
you can. You can.
Yeah, but if you did, I would say GTA 5 because I'm playing with Brian.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool. Okay, so best multiplayer experience. Well, for me, there's only one, which is
Star Trek Online.
Star Trek
that was
Online.
Good. Like if I had to rank my 3, it would be Halo 5. Because see when we made, you remember I told you about the game types where I put it to, you could boost all the way around the map really quickly. So there was low gravity, high jump, high player speed, high boost, and the boost had basically like a 0.1 second regeneration.
Yeah.
So you could constantly boost everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That, I laughed so hard I was crying. Then it would be GTA 5, then Star Trek Online.
Cool.
Honourable mention, I think, should go to Rainbow Six Siege, but I just.
Sorry, is this for single player or multiplayer?
Multiplayer, but just it's a bit. If you're not playing with people you know, it doesn't work very well, so that's why it's not being mentioned.
So best single player experience.
The best, you start with that.
Spyro.
Okay.
Reignited. But again,
remember,
I saw
this
still
isn't uniquely a single player game. It's if you have a single player experience in an MMO, that's fine as well.
Still Spyro.
Okay.
I think because it's a relaxing game. It's not too taxing.
Yeah.
Whereas like with GTA 3, I was getting so frustrated I would just go away for like 2 weeks and not want to even look at the box.
What about the single player of Star Trek Online?
It's good, but again, I've not been playing it that long. I've not had as much fun as I have had with Spyro.
Oh, that's cool. For me, that's a bit more difficult because the only reals, I mean, to be honest, the majority of my single player time this year easily has been Fallout. And I have enjoyed it a lot. It's just that there's some aspects which it could be better in. I don't think it would win. This year I haven't played as many games as I normally would have, and I think any other year Fallout 4 wouldn't have won. But just because I haven't played a lot, it does win.
Okay.
Now, what about your least favourite game? Because that's not on the list. What about the game which subjectively you hated? Not
GTA 3.
Right.
Was there any real big surprise to that?
No. What about me? Would that be Dirt 3?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that would be Dirt 3 because it just angered me, but I can't really tell if objectively it's bad.
Okay, so what are you most looking forward to in 2019 in terms of games?
I'm not sure if... There's Anthem coming out. I want to see that. I've got to admit that.
What about that Outer Worlds game?
Yes, I'm really excited for that. Is CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077 coming out next year?
No idea.
Right, could you just double check that? It's just that for some reason I thought it was coming out...
Sorry, what's it called again?
Cyberpunk 2077. It's just this, for some reason I thought it was coming out this year. Not when I thought about it, but in my subconscious mind...
It's yet to be confirmed.
Right. Because I'm looking forward to that, but I don't know if that's 2019. But it's just that for some reason when the gameplay trailer came out, my brain said, oh, that's coming out soon. And whenever I think about it, I know it's not coming out in 2018, but I don't know why I keep thinking subconsciously it is. But it's, as you said, to be confirmed. So if that comes out next year, then the Outer Worlds, and then I'd probably have to say... Oh, I can't remember. I've forgotten it now. It was on the tip of my tongue there.
You'll think of it. You'll think of it.
You go and I'll see if I can remember.
I saw that Outer Worlds game, so that looks like fun. So
have you got any others that you're looking forward to?
I don't know any others that are coming out.
Anthem, that was it. I want to see Anthem, because if Anthem's terrible, that doesn't bode particularly well. It also means they might cancel any future Mass Effect plans, but if it's good, that bodes quite well.
Okay.
Because it's from BioWare, who are owned by EA. Mm-hmm. BioWare made the original Mass Effect, the original Dragon Ages, so I'm really looking for it. Because if they get this right, it says that maybe they can do something again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our list.
Yeah, that got quite quick towards the end because you've played 3 games and I've basically played like 8 or something, so it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm hoping next year that'll be very, very difficult because we'll have played all the amazing games that actually came out this year. Because our official game that was released this year technically has to be Spyro because it's the only one anyone's played.
Yes. As I've yet to play Fallout 76.
Yes, and Battlefield 5.
Yes. Right.
I'll also say I'm actually quite looking forward to playing more Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
And more online games with you and Brian and
Yes.
chums, like
So-
games and stuff.
Now that we're at the list,
Now that we've finished Game of the Year,
I don't even know what I was trying to say there.
Praise be the ShadowCast.
Yes, so we shall say goodbye. And I will also, because I believe you are going to be uploading 2 more videos before the end of the year.
I'm going to attempt to do some podcasts.
But our schedules are just going to clash too much, so we're not going to be able to
No, it's just me.
sit down for a few hours to actually do this.
No, it's just me.
So, as this will be my last one of 2018, I'm going to wish everybody a happy holidays, because I don't know if you can say Christmas anymore.
Yes, you can say Christmas because I'm going to.
Well, I'll say happy holidays, everybody, and also have a brilliant new year. Or you'll probably say Hogmanay.
No, because New Year and Hogmanay are different.
What?
Hogmanay is New Year's Eve. Hogmanay isn't the entire year.
I thought it was.
No.
I really should have realised that before I sent those cards off to America. Oh well. So I read the
Hogmanay
Scottish
is-
New Year.
It's not Scottish New Year, it's Scottish New Year's Eve.
Oh well. Right. Well,
Jeez. Your soul tire is getting removed.
I don't have
You
one.
have to re-earn it.
I don't have one.
The tattoo that I was going to put on your forehead. I could have said, I know you're looking quite scared at me right now, but I could have said brand I was going to put on your forehead. That would have been worse.
Right, okay. So I will wish everybody happy holidays and a happy new year. Hope you guys have a great 2019. I will see you then in January. I will speak to you then.
And then, in January, this is actually painful to listen to. Go liven it up a bit. Do that again.
So as this is going to be my last one of this year, I'm going to wish everybody a happy holidays and a great new year. And I will see you in January for more chaotic podcasts.
Yay!
And I hope you have a great time without me with just listening to Tommy for 2 weeks straight.
It's not 2 weeks straight. I mean, I'm only releasing 1 podcast a week if I can get it to work. I'm not actually going to be there every minute. That was Klingon, by the way.
Oh, you're going to have a lot of Trekkies angry
Yeah,
at you.
That's not Klingon. That is not Klingon. I renounce and reject myself. So I'm going to say goodbye as well. I hope you enjoy listening to this particular ShadowCast.
So do I.
25, which is all very Christmassy.
So it is.
So if you did, please like and subscribe below, and you can leave a comment.
Yes, please. Or you could...
Follow us on Facebook at overshadow.shadowcast.
Yes.
And you can email us at
Overshadow.shadowcast at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com.
It only took you 3 attempts. So I'll see you next week. Abigail won't because she's a quitter.
No, I need to get ready for Christmas.
And
I still got presents to buy. I have to go back to the shops. I'm really not looking forward to that.
yeah, good. Just shut up. Right. Okay. We hope you enjoy listening. We'll see you next week. Ta-da!
No, we won't. He will.
Right, fine. I hope you enjoy listening. Right? She doesn't care, and I will see you next week because she's running away.
And the week after.
In the week. I'll say that to them next week. If all goes well, I'll have another video up for you next week.
I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Thank you.
I wasn't wishing you good luck. I was just wishing them good luck.
Well, they already have good luck because I'll be releasing podcasts next week.
Right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.